In Boston, there was a young man coming named Eddie, who was a hairdresser and who was a follower of some yogi. But he came very attracted to Srila Prabhupada. And he came up to Boston, I think he was from New York, came up to Boston to be with Srila Prabhupada. He brought some of his friends. And he would, when Prabhupada came in, and he would like help Prabhupada on with his shoes or help Prabhupada off with his shoes. Prabhupada said, "Oh, you were so nice." He was very attracted. And on one morning walk, I didn't go on that walk, but I was told that he asked Srila Prabhupada if he could be initiated. And Prabhupada said, first you have to learn the philosophy. First you should know the philosophy. And then he said that if today you come on sentiment, tomorrow you will leave on sentiment. Which is what happened. He didn't stay. One thing that happened was that one day an elderly gentleman showed up. Just during the day. Prabhupada still had his apartment at 26, and the temple was down the street, about a block, 2 blocks away. And an elderly gentleman came with a letter from Srila Prabhupada that he'd received in Prabhupada's absence. And the letter said that when I come to New York, then you can come see me and we can discuss. So here's this man with his letter. Okay, so Brahmananda had me take the gentleman over to Srila Prabhupada's apartment. And the gentleman was very respectful. He said to Srila Prabhupada that, "Swamiji, I like your teachings very much, but one thing is that one of your disciples said that such and such person is a rascal." He mentioned a big spiritual person from India, big name. One of your disciples said that such and such person is a rascal. And it seems to me that he's a very holy person. And one of your disciples said that you said that such and such person is a rascal. And I don't understand why you'd say that, because it seems to me that he was a very saintly person. And Prabhupada said, "Who has said this? Who has said this?" And the man said, "You didn't say." Prabhupada said, "If he says that I have said, and I have not said, then he is rascal." Then the man became quite settled up. Now he was relieved. Prabhupada hadn't said that. Then Prabhupada took a book, little blue hardbound volume from his shelf, and took it down and opened it up, showed the book to the man. He said, "You know this book?" And the man said, "Oh, Dr. Radhakrishnan, Vedanta Society." Oh, yes. He was quite pleased. Prabhupada said, yeah. He opened the book. He said, read this verse. So the verse was, "Manmana bhava mad bhakta mad yaji mam namaskuru." So the man read that, always think of me, become my devotee, offer your homage to me, worship me. Prabhupada said, yes, he is a very good scholar. He has translated very nicely. Now, the commentary, what does he say? Read. The man began reading. "It is not to Krishna that we have to surrender, but to the all-pervading such and such within Krishna." Prabhupada said, "Just see. Therefore I say they are all rascals." Therefore I say they are all rascals. Then Prabhupada quoted, of course, "Namam duskrita namudha prapadyante naradhama maya pritagyana asura bhavamashrita." Anyone who doesn't surrender to me, he's miscreant, he's the lowest of men, his knowledge is stolen by illusion, he's demonic in nature. Prabhupada explained all of these words at some length. And then Prabhupada said, "It is not my saying, it is Krishna's saying. What can I do?" There was another occasion where Srila Prabhupada did quite a large initiation at 61 2nd Avenue. There's a photograph of Srila Prabhupada walking back to his apartment after the ceremony, and you can see ecstatic devotees dancing with their no shoes and so on. Everybody's in bliss after the ceremony. And Srila Prabhupada was just walking back very gravely with his, characteristically with his head held high. And he didn't say anything. Then he said, "We have increased the disciplic succession from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu." Prabhupada at that time, he quoted some verses from Chaitanya Bhagavat. There's a verse about Muchi and Suchi. Prabhupada quoted, at least that was the first time we heard it. And Prabhupada explained it, that the Muchi means a cobbler, who's the lowest class of man. He makes his business skinning animals and taking the skins to make shoes. And Shuchi is the most pure, the Brahmin. But the person who's Shuchi becomes Muchi if he's Yadi Krishna Tyaji, if he gives up Krishna consciousness. And the person who's Muchi becomes Shuchi, Yadi Krishna Bhaje, if he takes up Krishna consciousness. Well, Prabhupada explained that verse at that time. He liked that verse. And Prabhupada explained also that these people are claiming that I'm Brahmin because I was born in a Brahmin family. So Prabhupada said, that means I have Brahmin skin. He said, they're skin dealers, that's all. That means they're Muchi. They're thinking I'm Brahmin, but they're skin dealers. I've got Brahmin skin. There's an instruction that I didn't hear firsthand, but I heard from a devotee named Uttama Shloka, not the Uttama Shloka from America. There was a German disciple at one point named Uttama Shloka. And he came to 61 2nd Avenue. And he was telling something about his experience with Srila Prabhupada. And one thing that he told us that Srila Prabhupada had instructed, which has always stuck with me, is that Srila Prabhupada had told him, just try to hear yourself chant sincerely. Just try to hear yourself chant sincerely. There was another example Prabhupada gave during that time in New Vrindavan. Prabhupada said that, of course, Krishna is light and Maya is darkness. So Prabhupada gave the example that you hold your palm like this, it's in the light. And you turn your palm like this, it's in the darkness. So it's up to us, turn toward Krishna or away from Krishna. Therefore we're called marginal energy. We can turn either way. The devotees at that time had purchased a cow, but they hadn't purchased the calf that the cow had just had. And the cow was crying. They had the cow in the field, and the cow even ran an electric fence, length of her body through the electric fence. Where is my calf? So then, after that, I think Prabhupada gave an instruction, and they tried to get the calf also, but it was not possible. But Prabhupada noted it, and he mentioned on some later occasions that they say that the animal has no soul. But just see how the cow is crying for her calf.